Hey, I'm Mel,
And I'm Janelle.
and this is the Murder Mamas. Welcome.
Hello.
Hello. So today we're going to talk about it's newish documentary, right? Hasn't been out that long. It's called Jailbreak, Love on the Run.
Which was completely new to
I
me.
can't believe that you hadn't seen that.
I knew nothing about this.
Yeah,
I don't know what rock I was living under during this time.
this was all over the news. Even Auntie remembered it. He's like, I know about that.
I know. I wonder if Chris knows about it.
Maybe.
I don't watch the news, so,
Yeah, there you go. The news is on in my house all the time because there's nothing else to watch. Just have it on. But I wanted to give like a little bit of a backstory before we start. Like, let's just name the people involved, if that's okay with you.
Nope.
Okay. So Casey White is the inmate that we're going to be talking about.
And he is like a beast of a man. He was like 6'9".
Yeah, 300 pounds, something like that.
Huge.
Yeah, he's a big dude. Scary.
Like, what the hell?
Yeah. And Vicky White, they are not related. They're not married. They just happen to have the same last name. She is the corrections officer that works in the jail where Casey is being held. And Casey was given a 75-year sentence for attempted murder and robbery in 2015. So that's where we're at with him.
Well, and then in this part of the documentary, we're hearing a lot about Vicky in the beginning. We're learning all about Vicky.
Yes.
That was loud. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine.
And what we're learning from Vicky.
Go ahead. What?
Why did you turn your page?
Because I had other things about him.
Oh.
But that's okay. We can go back to that.
Okay.
Because I have Vicky's things on this page.
Oh. Okay. So we're learning a lot about Vicky and who Vicky is. And Vicky is very dedicated to her work.
Yes.
Vicky has been working in the same correction facility. Jail? Detention center? I don't know what it was.
I don't know. Aren't they all the same? Like detention, jail? I don't know.
Girl, I don't get paid to know those things. It's not my expertise.
It's not.
But she had been working there for 17 years.
Yeah.
So a long time. She was sort of like the HBIC head bitch in charge.
That's like, what is that?
Yeah, the blank look on your face. And you're like, what?
Should I know that?
No, you should.
No, I should.
And so she was kind of everybody's boss.
Yeah, she was
the supervisor. And again, she's very dedicated to her work. She is running this whole sort of facility. I did really enjoy when someone talked about how Vicky would answer the phone.
No.
And right before she would answer the phone, she'd be like, who the fuck is calling me? And then she'd be like, hi, this is Vicky. How can I help you?
That
was like,
actually
accurate.
That was me when I used to work in recruiting because I'd be like, this fucking asshole is calling in sick. I know it. And be like, hey, it's Mel.
That's me every day.
Every day.
Why is my fucking phone ringing? Thanks for calling.
Yep. So we don't see Vicky or Casey in this video. I mean, we see videos of them, but they are not interviewed. We just hear tapes from them. And that takes place between 2020 and 2022.
Well, I think you're jumping ahead because there's like some more that we learn about. Well, I guess not.
No, I was just saying like they're not being interviewed.
Yes.
Like we're just seeing their calls and
so surveillance footage.
And surveillance footage, yes. And Vicky, she devoted her life to other people. You know, she was saying that she doesn't have enough hours in the day to help herself, that she's always worrying about other people and trying to make people happy. And she would make the prisoners feel like they're humans instead of just a piece of shit who's in jail.
Yeah, there was the one former officer who ended up getting addicted to drugs, I think, and ending up in the same facility.
Which is scary.
And he just speaks so highly of her. Yeah. She was like the mother I never had.
Yeah, she helped them out.
She would give them like extra commissary and just do all kinds of things.
Yeah. which is great. The only thing I didn't like is when they were like, this particular jail, they would throw you in for a traffic minor infraction, and then you'd also have a murderer in the same holding cell. And I was like, excuse me, no, those are two different people. Like, do not put those people together. That is not okay because they were overcrowded. So I didn't like that. I was like, that would scare the living shit out of me if I had to do that.
Now you know, don't go to jail.
Don't go to jail.
Vicky starts acting very strange.
Yes.
And her coworkers, or I guess they're not her coworkers, her subordinates, sort of notice that there's like a distinct change in her behavior where she's like irritable and being less kind to other people. She starts trying to like offload all of her belongings.
Yeah, she sells her house.
Sells her house for way below market.
Way
like,
below.
At auction.
Yeah.
She's just doing things. And one of them even says, like, are you dying?
Right.
And she's like, no.
Because that's like what you would think you would be doing. You're like, I don't need this stuff. Let's get it done before, so no one else has to do it.
Yeah. And then she sort of like abruptly... Do you want to pause?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. She sort of like abruptly turns in her notice to like of retirement on April 29th of 2022.
She gave like 1 day notice though.
Yeah.
Like,
and
that was
like, I retire tomorrow.
What?
Okay.
Something's fishy going on.
Weird. So it was like this. A few weeks leading up to her retirement, she had weird behavior, and then it was like this happened. And then on the day of her retirement, they have like a little party for her or whatever. And she eats some cake and then is like, okay, I'm taking this. Or she doesn't even tell people.
No, she doesn't tell anyone.
She's like, you just need to, like, no, she does because she has to, that other guy, like, pulls him out of the cell.
Oh, yeah. But she doesn't tell him why. She just says, hey, and he says, whatever she says, I do.
You do. Yeah. And so they pull Casey out of a cell and she leads him outside, which is weird because why is he walking behind her?
Right.
Like, that's not policy.
He didn't even... Did he have cuffs on? I don't think he had any cuffs on or anything.
She uncuffed him, yeah.
He was just freely walking.
And they get into her patrol vehicle, and then they're not seen for many more hours. And so one other person's like, they've kind of been gone a while. Like, what's going on?
Right.
They've kind of been gone a while, and then it's like, that afternoon and they're still not back and someone sounds the alarm.
Yeah, they put out a blue alert particularly for Vicky because they don't know that they're involved at this point.
Correct.
So they're putting out an alert to find Vicky because they're like, Casey is this bad dude and he probably overtook her somehow is what they're thinking.
Yeah. And then you'll quickly learn that that's not what happened.
Not what happened.
At all. And that Vicky and Casey were involved for 2 years.
2 years. And then this is when we hear like their phone calls to each other, which mind you, she's worked in this place for 17 years. All of these phone calls are recorded. She knows this. And yet here she is just talking to him freely on the phone. Couple quotes that I wrote down that stuck with me.
Please don't make it the sexting one.
Well, he was like,
the phone sex one, please.
He's like, don't give anyone attention except to me. He's like, I don't want to see you flirting with other guys or whatever. And I was like, okay, obsessive. And then she said, I have to say this. She said, oh, I'm eating a banana. And he's like, are you going to deep throat it for me? Yeah, and then you hear him moaning sometimes on the phone too. It's really bad.
Okay,
You hear everything.
During that, it's like, I've never been to prison. I don't know what it's like.
No.
But isn't it a like bank of phones? So is this dude just like rubbing one out in front of other people?
I don't know, because I've seen, the line where they sit behind the glass and there's multiple, but then I've also seen there's like a phone on the jail wall and it's just that one thing and then there's a line. So I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't
again,
know.
so is he phone sexing while other people are
Yes.
like
Yes.
waiting in line?
Yes.
And he's like, I can't wait to fuck you.
Yes. Yes, he is. Or at least they're waiting like near the, I don't know, but there's no like, you can,
I can't cringe
yeah.
any harder. It's
Oh, fuck. Yeah.
truly was hard to listen to.
Mm-hmm.
I struggled. I
Yep.
was like, oh my God.
Yep.
Oh my God.
And more on Casey. He was an inmate in jail, went to jail for 11 times in a 12-year period. So this guy is not a good guy. Murder, strangulation, and all this other stuff that he, like other petty things. So, drugs, yeah.
And she knows that he does drugs because like
Yeah.
people would sneak drugs in.
Yeah.
And he would do them.
Yeah. And she would get
then,
all up like, don't do the
don't
drugs.
do that. I don't understand why you're doing the drugs.
Yeah.
Like, ma'am, because he's a drug addict. Like,
Oh,
that's why.
Yep. Oh, so Casey shot his girlfriend and her dog.
What a dick.
In, how do I mention that?
Oh, you know.
Okay, so more on Casey. He, at the time, this was before her, like this is when he's out of jail, before he gets in jail. Casey shot his girlfriend and her dog, and then went to the neighbor's house, put a gun to his head, and said, I want your car. And the guy said, well, can I have my cell phone? And Casey actually just threw it out the window for him. So I was like, okay, that's cool. At least he got his cell phone back. And then he took off. And he was driving so fast to get away from the scene, he crashed. And he should have been in the hospital, but they didn't have the capacity to put him in the hospital. So he went into what's called an A1 cell, which is a more serious crime cell, which is Vicky deals with A1 thing. So that's where they met.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's where that comes together. So he should have been in the hospital, went into a jail cell instead. Vicky works that particular jail cell. That's like for the main bad guys, A1 or whatever they call it.
Steak sauce.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Also, yeah. I think someone mentioned that Vicky would listen to other people's courthouse phone calls or whatever, like jail phone calls. So I wonder, was she listening? Was she the only person who listened and like audited them? Because then if that was her job, right?
Yeah.
And there's no like checks and balances, then she has full reign to have any fucking conversation she wants with him.
I didn't even think of that because I'm like, that's recorded.
Yeah.
But I would think random people, like not even in the jail, like people, like operators outside the jail would be the ones doing that. So like there's no...
No, I think they said like she was the one who was listening to it.
Okay.
And like making sure that that other officers weren't doing
what she's doing.
Exactly what she was doing.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that makes more sense.
But I don't know, like I don't know the inner workings of being a jail.
I don't either.
Worker.
Jail worker.
I don't know what the term is.
And I just want to say something. Like he says he wanted a hug from an officer and he missed a woman's touch and he hadn't been touched in 5 years from a woman. So I think that's why he clinged on to Vicky as well. Because she gave him attention. She treated him like a human being, like she did everybody else. And then he looked more into that, I guess.
Yeah, like really leaned into it.
Yeah.
And I can also see why she leaned into him too, though, because she had the divorce. So her first marriage ended in divorce because he became a drug addict.
Yeah.
And then her second one was...
a rebound.
That's what she said.
Well, that's what she said, yeah.
And he ended up dying in a car accident right after they got engaged. Yeah. And one of her former coworkers says, like, I wouldn't have been able to come back to work as soon as she did.
Yeah, she went back pretty quick. But, on another thing, people who are, like, it said she worked 50 to 60 hours a week. If you're one of those people that's dedicated to your job, that might be the only way to get through that. If you're sitting at home what are you doing? You're just dwelling and dwelling and dwelling and dwelling, and it's making you sadder and sadder and sadder. Like,
Yeah.
I get how, like, go do something else to take her mind off of it.
Yeah.
So I understand that part.
Well, and like it's hard because if you don't have any other hobbies besides work,
Yeah, sure.
that's your whole identity.
Yeah.
And it's the only thing that's been there for you for the last 17 years.
Yeah.
You know, it's like the one consistent thing. There's no job changes. There's no company changes. You know, it's not like private sector.
Yeah.
Where like job hopping.
Exactly. Yeah. So that, I think that makes sense.
I do too, but I think that also put her in a very vulnerable state, right? Like,
oh, yeah. Okay.
To want to be wanted by someone
Yes.
and to have someone that is wanting you.
Yeah.
You know?
Because all of their conversations were, I love you and I want to see you and we're going to be together soon.
Very love bombing.
It really was.
But it was like both of them.
Both of them, yeah.
Like, this is an interesting dynamic. I don't know who's leading, but there were some times when it was like he was, but that felt it was more like the like love bombing, like
Right.
calling her beautiful when he knows that she doesn't think that way about herself.
Right.
You know?
Because she said, like, who are you talking about one time or something? He's like, you.
I also really liked how she was like, I've always wanted to be a stripper. And he was like, why? She was like, all right, you just get to dance on a pole.
Yeah.
And like make thousands of dollars. And that's all you have to do. If I was prettier, I would have been a stripper.
Go for it.
Respect.
Yes.
There also was one thing that stuck out to me that we haven't touched on yet that I thought was an interesting thing about her was when she goes to the passion party. Mm-hmm. Okay, first of all, passion parties shouldn't exist.
No, it's a little weird.
It's so weird.
Yeah.
And also, they absolutely should not exist with your boss.
Right. Right? You should do that with your coworkers. It's not a good, just like you're not supposed to date in your, your field. Like,
Yeah, like
that's another thing.
that needs to be a work appropriate interaction.
Yeah.
And I just really thought that that was an interesting thing. And then I was like, when have you been to a passion party? Have you ever been to one?
No.
I've been to one. Have you? Do you want to know when?
When?
It was my sister's bachelorette party.
That's even worse.
And do you want to know what was so fun? Having people look through a catalog of dildos and sex toys and then look at my sister-in-law and say, which ones are you going to use with you? My brother.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is fucking disgusting.
How old were you? You're
18.
Okay, you were 18.
Well, I might have been 17 at that time.
That's still too young, dude.
And then having people be like disgusted that me and my sister made a penis cake filled with cum pudding.
That's awesome.
And they were like, this is the most disgusting thing. I was like,
But yet they're looking through catalogs of all these sex toys.
Yes.
Yeah.
I
What's the difference?
hate that so much. That is the one and only time I've been to a passion party.
Yeah, I don't think.
And if anyone says that word, I'm like, nope. I don't want to stand in a room full of women and look at dildos.
That's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to start passion parties. And you're going to be my co-bitch.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Okay.
So I thought that was very interesting.
Yeah. So, and a point to know now, because we're getting to the point where she does take him out and go. She drives a orange Ford, a Ford something?
Ford
Edge. This thing sticks out like a sore fucking thumb. Like, it's orange.
When the investigator is like, yeah, we found out that she had purchased a Ford Edge. It was orange. It's like, this fucking idiot.
Like she is law enforcement, Like, that's just what comes back to me. It's like, you're in law. Like, you should know that maybe driving an orange car is going to stick out.
Red, orange, yellow. Like,
any of those.
What are you doing?
Drive a fucking black car.
White,
White.
gray.
Yeah. That's it. Those three colors.
That's it.
Pick one.
Those are the only colors of car I'll buy, by the way. So I mean, we can talk about it. So she took him out of jail and they go on the run.
Yeah.
As essentially, she says it's the day that she retired. Like,
Right.
Quickly. And it's the end of her shift or that morning or whatever. And he just like never returns to the jail.
Yeah.
And a lot of different investigators get involved. There's like the marshals.
Yeah. Well, because they think she's like they think he has kidnapped her.
Yeah. And then they all start digging into these tapes and the videos, and they find so much evidence of their relationship.
Yeah. And they look into her receipts.
Oh, yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah.
So they find how, like, premeditated this escape was. Yeah. It wasn't quick. It wasn't like a last-minute decision. No. Over a year.
Yeah.
Like we said earlier, she started offloading her items. So, like, she would call someone and be like, hey, you want this exercise bike? Come pick it up.
Right. And they would.
Yeah. And then she sold her house. Like, she just got rid of everything. Moved in with her parents. And then she would shop at a Walmart.
Yep.
And she would go weekly to buy groceries. And every time she'd buy groceries, she would pick up one single camping item.
A camping equipment.
Yeah.
And then she also bought 2 guns. She bought gum.
That was very sus.
It's very sus. She bought 2 firearms from Walmart as well.
So,
yeah.
It speaks to, like, I think when you look at it that way, you're looking at someone who is intelligent, right? But not street smart.
They did say she is not street. She was very intelligent. Like, she knew what she was doing. She was good at her job, but she didn't have any street smarts.
And then she's making the choice of, like, making purchases that you're not going to be able to track all at one time, like doing all of that stuff.
Yeah.
But then also making the choice to buy an orange fucking car.
An orange car.
So once they start looking, they do end up finding her police cruiser at a shopping center.
Walmart?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they find out that she purchased that Ford Edge because they change cars, right?
They do change cars.
Like, right in the back of this parking lot.
They get an F-150, right?
No, the orange car from her police cruiser to that orange car. Isn't it in the back of the parking lot?
Yeah.
And they're looking at the security footage, and they say if she had been parked like 5 feet
it wouldn't have
to the left or something, like, they wouldn't have known what car they switched into.
Yeah.
I'm like, again, it's like this tiny little mistake. But they change into her car, and then they again change out of that car in Tennessee and change into an F-150.
Yeah.
And so it's like this manhunt that's happening over many, many days. 11 total, right? They find... I don't know what you're reading. Oh,
I don't know. I was just saying, like, cops were interviewing people in the jail to find out, like, what was going on with Casey, because the inmates knew what was going on. Because
they do. And they start talking about all the inmates, and all the inmates are like, oh, yeah, no, we knew there was something up between them. And they had tried to blackmail her at one point, like someone who had gotten out, because he apparently told someone.
Yeah.
Or they just, like, knew about it.
Yeah.
And the one guy who used to be an officer but then became an inmate himself was like, yeah, no, we knew, but no one ever said anything because she took care of us.
Right.
So, like,
why would they tell
if you open your fucking mouth, we're going to get less commissary. Like, shut up.
Right. Which makes sense. And then they looked in. They also saw that she was she was in charge of the unclaimed property at the jail. So she was going through and finding male and female clothes so that they could change into those outfits after they had gone from jail. So she was just stealing other people's clothes.
And she also goes and asks an inmate or a former inmate. I wasn't sure if he was currently in it. He's talking when he's not an inmate. And she asks him, hey, do you know anyone who can give me, like, a fake ID?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Sorry for yawning. And he's like,
what do you mean? Why?
What do you mean? She's like, I'm going to Mexico, but I don't want to use my ID.
Right. Which makes no sense at all.
What?
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Who does that? I've been to Mexico several times and I've never asked for fake IDs.
I don't think that they ended up getting them.
No, I don't think they did.
It
didn't seem like it, yeah.
Um,
So on day 5 of the manhunt, the offer of $10,000 reward goes out if anybody can find them. And cops are making a chart of how far they could have gone.
It's like really far.
They could have made
Alaska, right?
Anchorage, Alaska from Tennessee or whatever it was, like, or Alabama.
So that's Florence, Alabama.
Like, that's what they should have done, because then no one would, like, you could get lost in Alaska.
They should have just gone to wherever I was, because I had no idea this was fucking happening.
Yeah, exactly. But
literally, they could have been right under my nose, and I would have been like,
I don't know.
Huh?
But they only go up like one state. And I'm like, why did you guys stop? They're obviously going to be looking in those surrounding areas. Go to Alaska, hide in the woods, and be free.
I just don't know, like, what the plan was.
I don't think they actually had a plan.
Which is wild, because they had been talking about this for years.
They had a plan to get out, but I don't think they planned what to do once they got out.
Yeah.
You know?
It was very, like, everything just sort of, like, takes a shit.
Yeah.
Once he's actually out.
It's like, done. Yeah.
Okay, well, now I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
So they end up finding that orange car, right? Like, someone calls it in. They find it in that place in Georgia, but then they don't find them around. And they're like, okay, now we got to find them again.
And then they also found out that they tried to spray paint the car green. They tried to let me say it again. They tried to spray paint the car green. Spray paint. And there's only like one 5x5 section that's like spray painted.
It's like a little Tetris piece above the tire.
It looks so bad.
It's so funny. That was the part where they talk about her being intelligent but not having street smarts, and then you can see him coming in, and they're like, he's kind of a dummy, but at least he's got street smarts.
Yeah.
Oh, man. So then the next time they're spotted, and then the next call, right, is that a car wash employee, like one of those, like wash your own car places, he calls the police, and he's like, hey, like, this truck's been here in my place for a long time.
I don't want to hear what's it doing here.
Well, what is it? And it's the truck that they were in.
Right.
It's sitting in the bay. And so then the police come and they're looking and they find the truck. And the person who worked there, he just calls the media.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, I found their truck.
Yeah. The cops are like, why are the media here?
I called him.
Why wouldn't I?
And the investigator's like, we really wanted to keep that one close to our chest, but okay, guess not. So that's in Indiana, right?
Yeah.
And then they're watching the surveillance footage from this location, and they see Casey drop the car off, and then walk towards the street and get into a gray Cadillac.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, now we got to find this gray Cadillac.
Yep.
And so how do you find a gray Cadillac? They just start driving around.
Right.
They're just like, well,
I guess we just drive.
I guess they didn't fucking go anywhere. So let's just drive around.
Yeah.
So and they're driving.
And then spotted it.
They spot it, backed in to a parking spot outside of a motel.
Yep.
And so they're like, all right, it's probably one of these rooms, 50 or 51.
Right, because
like,
it's parked right in front of these.
Let's see. And then they go to the office and they get the list of names and they're like, no, like, we don't recognize them.
Right.
We don't, like, none of those names.
Yeah.
But then it's like a pizza?
A pizza. Yeah. They ordered a pizza and
I almost said a polizza.
A polizza.
A pizza.
They order a pizza and deliver it to room 150, and the cops were like, ding, 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 let's go look at 150.
Well, because the driver's like, oh no, I definitely saw them. It was like, the man was a giant.
Yeah. Yeah. Kind of hard to get away with it when you're like 7
shack
feet.
size.
Yeah, like people are gonna remember you. Yeah, you're not some average looking dude.
You are not 5'8",
Yeah.
sir. Like, you are 6'9",
300 pounds.
300 pounds.
Yeah,
Like,
they're gonna know you.
So they're like, okay, like, that's probably who it is. But then they're like, fuck, they're inside. We know they're armed because they've said they're armed and we have receipts for weapons. Like, what is this going to be? And they're fully convinced, like, Casey's not going to come back to jail.
No, he said he's not.
We don't know what is going to happen with her, but Casey, for sure, is not coming back to prison. And then just like sort of serendipitously, they leave the hotel.
I have Vicky calls 911.
That's after they.
Oh, that's after the. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So they end up leaving the hotel or the motel. And they quickly realize they're being followed.
Right.
And then there's a police chase. Yeah. Casey's driving, and he's driving like through parking lots and in squares and trying to get them to get away. And he ends up driving through a like sort of like a catch basin area of like the shopping center. And this is where Vicky somehow they're called 911 is called.
I don't think she meant to do that.
I don't think she did
because
either.
She was just they were just talking to each other. She wasn't trying to get a hold of someone.
So we're listening to this 911 call.
Yeah. And
it's like, it's really sad.
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty sad. She's like, what are we going to do? Yeah. Like, the airbags are going to deploy. Yeah. And like, we shouldn't have left the fucking hotel. And just like, what are we going to do? And she seems really panicked. And one of the investigators mentioned that too. Like, this is another day at the office for Casey. Sure. Yeah. He is cool as a fucking cucumber.
Yeah. Been here, done that.
Vicky is frantically like looking. Her head is telescoping everywhere. She's obviously panicking. Yep. And
then the cop slams into their car.
Yeah. And so driving on that uneven surface and next to that little like ravine area or basin gave the cops the perfect opportunity to pit maneuver them essentially. Yeah. And they slam into the car. The car rolls. And then you hear a gunshot.
Just one.
Yeah. And you're like, weird.
Yeah.
Casey gets pulled out of the car and he just keeps saying over and over again, like, where's my wife? Is my wife alive? Where's my wife? Is she okay? And there's like a lot of blood is what they say. Yeah. And Vicky does not make it.
Nope.
I'll just say that.
Yeah.
And then there becomes the really big question of like, did she commit suicide or
did he kill her?
Was it an accident? Yeah. Or did he kill her?
Right.
Like, what exactly happened?
I think she put the gun to her head.
I think she did too.
Yeah.
I think she knew it was time.
It was done.
There was no getting out of it.
She's been an officer for 17 years. That doesn't fly in jail. Like, it was...
I don't even know if that was so much it, but like, probably just imagine all the shame.
Yeah.
She felt from like making that choice.
Probably. Because she was a good person, she was a good person and she fucked up. She just
fucked up bad.
She just got, went down the spiral and fell in love, I think.
Yeah.
And so it's too bad.
It really was too bad. I think that's what happened.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm pretty sure.
It's just the one gunshot.
It's one gunshot. That was her, yeah.
But he does seem genuinely, like, broken up about it. He does,
yeah.
He asks multiple times, like, even once they transfer him to the hospital, he's like, is my wife okay?
Yeah.
And, like, they all tell him. I don't know.
Yeah, we don't know. Yeah.
It seemed genuine. I mean, again, he is kind of a slimy dude, so
yeah.
Sometimes
who knows? They could be
genuine, and when they're not,
yeah.
But to me, it did
kind of seem. So Casey was charged with escape in the first degree and indicted on felony murder for causing the death of Vicky White, and he is in jail. as of now.
He's in the same jail.
Yeah. No, I think they put him in a different jail.
Oh, I'm just joking.
Oh. No.
He's in the same jail manipulating another one.
No, they put him in a different jail.
Manipulating one of Vicky's coworkers and did the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah, so he's put in a different jail and he's alive in jail right now.
I did like that the investigator whom she knew and like had worked with said like I don't want her parents to find out that she passed away on the TV.
Yeah.
And he went over to their house and told her parents. I thought that was really kind-hearted of him.
I think so too.
And a lot of people that talked and were part of the documentary who worked with her were really conflicted because they were like, Vicky, just like you said, like Vicky was a good person. She was our friend. She was our coworker. And she made a really poor choice. Yeah. And like they had a hard time wrapping their head around the fact that she would have done that to herself. Yeah. I'm like, man.
Yeah.
I feel like this just shows that no matter how old you are.
Yeah.
Like.
It could happen.
You can spiral.
Yeah.
Fast.
Fast. Yeah, this was fast.
I mean, even 2 years is fast. Yeah. Right? Like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
How does that happen?
I don't know. So.
Do you think that would ever happen to you?
No. I mean, not that particular situation. No. I don't think so. I think I have good street smarts. I'm not very smart the other way, but like you all know that I can't pronounce words. So like
not smart, I got a speech impediment.
I'm struggling with that, but I think I have good street smarts. So I don't think I would fall victim to that.
Do you have good street smarts?
I think so, yes.
Do you?
Yes. Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
No, it feels like the same question, like, do you think you could ever join a cult?
No.
You know, like, I don't think so.
No, there's no way. I don't like being told what to do. I'm not going to give my money to you. That's mine.
Okay, but I'm saying, like, with him.
Yeah.
Right? Like, do you think you could be manipulated into something?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. I don't think I could either.
No.
But I think that's because I like being in control.
Yes. I like to be in control, too.
And I don't want to lose that control. Mm-hmm. You know?
Yeah.
So, like, if
100%.
someone tried to flip that script, I was like, no.
No.
That doesn't work for me.
Goodbye.
Either you need to change your behavior or we're done.
We're parting ways.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. So I recommend it. I thought it was good.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
I was like.
I can't believe you've never heard of it.
On the edge. Again, I really think they just needed to go wherever I was because I had no idea this was happening.
Well, it was 2020, COVID.
It was 2022.
It was 2022, 2022.
I'm saying, but
yeah,
this was in 2022.
Yeah, so I don't know where the hell you were.
No idea.
Yeah, didn't we start our podcast in like 2022?
Bitch, we did.
I'm supposed to be paying attention to this kind of thing.
Did we not talk? We had to have.
I don't think we have.
You had to have told me about that.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't remember. I don't
just have amnesia.
Maybe. I forget shit all the time.
Yes, you do. Again, not smart.
Watching a movie the other day, and Avery's like, "We've already seen this," and I'm like, "I had no clue. I watched from beginning to end and didn't. Nothing came to mind. Not one thing." And Avery's like, "We've already seen this."
We'll watch it again. And
I'm like, shut up. It's the first time for me.
It's the first time. Every time it's like mine. All right.
All right.
Bye.